thing is that you never invest what you can't afford to lose. What I mean by that is whatever you put there for investing, truly over time, it's more than a 70% chance that you're going to have more at the end of 5, 10, 15 years than what you started with.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Can I Say This with Blasette. And today we're going to talk about money and how much is really enough. So, money is something that we all want, something we all need. And unfortunately, for some of us, we get it and we spend it as soon as we get it. Some of us get it and we hoard it. And then some of us can't just figure out how to get it and how much is really enough. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about money and even in our culture, what that looks like, how to get comfortable with what's enough, and then maybe even learn some things about how we can make good decisions about our money. So today I have with us Lyndon Davis. Lyndon comes, as I call, an expert with Raymond James. And Lyndon, I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive in.
Well, it's a wonderful thing being here. Thank you so much for having me on. I count it truly as an honor to be on this podcast with you. And I really believe we're going to have a wonderful conversation, information that will be beneficial to your listeners. And hopefully we can keep this thing going. Let this not be the last time.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Linda, I want to talk about, you have a book, and I definitely want to talk about Air Supply, which is a fantastic book for everybody. But let's talk a little bit about money in our culture. So oftentimes parents can only teach what they know, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, in our community, a lot of us don't know about money very well. A lot of times we rob Peter to pay Paul. We're living check to check. We're living beyond our means. Our definition of budgeting is trial and error. What is something that, you think that people should know, like maybe right out of college, right? Maybe your parents didn't really teach you those fundamentals. What are some things somebody that's coming out of college that, hey, you got your first job, this is what you should be thinking about when you think about your money?
It's interesting that you actually put it at the level of college. I would go even far back as when the tooth fairy visits.
Hey, okay.
Santa Claus leaves, whatever that is, whoever that is that's leaving them money. I would say let's start teaching them at that point. But to your point on what would I say to someone coming out of college, you ever remember those cartoon depictions? You see that little bubble over their head and it's just poof. Like, the idea just went right out of their mind. Yeah. Or somebody standing there and the genie crosses their arm, says a magic word, and then again, poof, meaning that something disappeared, right?
Right.
Well, that's the first thing I would actually tell a college graduate. Piff, otherwise poof.
Okay.
If, otherwise poof.
Okay.
So if, pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. Okay.
Pay yourself first. Because if you don't do that, your money will disappear. It's going to go somewhere and you'll be looking for it everywhere. Where did it go? But if you pay yourself first, then the most important person in your life is paid, truly paid. And then, light bill, gas bill, phone bill, all of those other bills in your life, they get second place. Very first thing I would tell a college student, college graduate, is pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. I love that. Now, you actually made a really good point. I've got 3 kids. My oldest is, now kind of getting into money, asking me for a debit card, and he wants to buy his own things. And I'm like, you ain't got no job. So, where are you going to get this money from? So, right, mom, like, wait a minute. So the interesting thing, there are lots of new things out there for kids, right? Things that I didn't have as a kid that I can appreciate. And I'm making myself more aware that, you can tie chores and, give kids money and things like that. But what would you say because at the end of the day, we still have to teach these kids at 10, 12, before they go to college. You get your chores, you get your money, what do you do with it? How do you teach them what to save versus what to spend at 10 years old, right? Pay yourself first. But at 10 years old, they go into the store, they want all the candy. They want every time they want to spend, right? Without thinking about it. What are some things that parents can say that are helpful for the little kids?
Well, even more than just saying, Brittany, it's actually doing what they can actually do with their children.
Okay.
And that is the concept of paying yourself first, but you do it in terms of either envelopes or buckets. So
Okay.
you might actually lay out some envelopes
Yeah.
and ask that child, what is it that they would like? I mean, clearly they want, you're right, everything in the candy store, everything in the toy store.
Yeah.
Let them know, listen, there's only enough to get maybe 2 or 3 or 4. What are your top 2 or 3?
Yeah.
And lay it out in an envelope. This amount is for toy number 1. This amount or this envelope is for candy number 2. And this amount is for video game number 3, whatever it might be, but you lay it out. And that way it is crystallized in their minds. When the money in that envelope is gone,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's gone. And the sweeter thing is the money in the pay yourself first envelope or the pay yourself first bucket, whatever method you want to use, that money will continue to grow so that they will see, you know what? I may have spent on all these different things here, but my money continues to pile up. And etch it into their brain, the benefits of paying yourself first rather than spending on everything that walks, talks, and clucks.
Because that's all we want to do, right? We want to look good, feel good. You know, it's that immediate gratification and really getting disciplined to save and not spend, or I can have it, I just can't have it now. Like those are like lessons, financial lessons that I learned the hard way, you know, that I'm trying to teach my kid so he doesn't have to bump his head. So, you know, I like that. I like the envelope method for sure. Another question I have too is credit. Now, I don't know what it's like in college. It's been a long time since I've been in college, but when I was
25,
it's been
stay over 25.
You know, it's been longer than that. So when I was in college, they were handing out T-shirts and pizza to give a credit card, right? I don't know if they're still doing that now, but you know, I think about how do I teach my son? And so we have this conversation now at 10 about this is a debit card versus a credit card, right? And, you know, I have no intention on giving them a credit card, but how to teach them about what is credit, right? And is credit good? Is credit bad? I think about in a bigger picture in our community, we use credit a lot. You know, what's a lesson that you think is really helpful, you know, not just kids, but just overall, how should we think about credit?
First and foremost, I like to say, our mothers used to tell us we should not use 4-letter words. 4-letter words are bad.
Okay.
Debt is a 4-letter word.
Yes, it is.
And mom should have taught us about that too. That is another 4-letter word that we should not be using. That is the first lesson that I'd be teaching my kids. Debt is a 4-letter word. Let us not live on debt. If you can't afford to buy it, you don't buy it. You only pay for what it is you have the money for. You don't, because what credit is I don't have it, but I'm going to buy it anyway.
I'm going to get it anyway.
I'm going to get it anyway. That's what credit is. That's what debt is. It is putting yourself in a position of, and I like to actually say this, buying what you want, then having to beg for what you need. I just spent all this money to buy these shoes, these jeans, this handbag, whatever it is. I spent all of this money that I didn't have, so I put it on my credit card. And now that I actually need to pay my phone bill so that I can keep texting or make calls, now I've got to go, oh, mom, could you give me $10 so you're begging now. So the first thing, Brittany, truly is to get debt out of the vocabulary. Only debt to me is paid off debt. Now, people might talk about, what about, you know, getting a mortgage? I mean, don't you need to build up your credit to get a mortgage? Yeah, if that's what you want to do, you need a mortgage. But Brittany, you can buy houses with the money you saved, with the money you invested. And now that's a longer conversation. But the short answer to your question is, I would actually discourage debt. And encourage save and buy with what monies you have, as opposed to extending yourself out to somebody to purchase what you really can't afford.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Now, as we think about like progressively, right? We talk a little bit about the kids, talk about college, talking about debt. Right now, the economy is in a really interesting place, and economy does this. It's ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows. What is something you would say for someone who maybe is check to check? How do they protect themselves from a drought? Like things cost more, you know, they were okay 2 years ago. They're not so okay now. Things are tight. So like, what would you say for someone like, how do you protect yourself against a drought when you're check to check?
So I hope this doesn't offend any of those out there,
Okay.
but it would be like someone saying, I am grossly overweight and
Mm.
I need to do something about it. And all the while they're telling me that,
Mhm.
got a donut in this hand and a can of Coke in that hand.
Ooh, okay, okay. All right.
They're actively working against the very words that's coming out of their mouths.
Yeah. Okay.
And exact same thing when it comes to living check to check. If you don't want to live check to check, you need to analyze, how have you been spending your money?
Yeah.
Have you been taking care of that check that comes in? Are you rushing every 5 seconds to plop down $10 on lotto tickets?
Yeah.
Are you rushing every time you get paid to say that I'm going to run out to a fast food joint or go to the convenience store rather than doing the hard work of running to Walmart or to Jewel Orsko to say I'm going to get some groceries and spend time cooking? I
Right.
would like for them to actually analyze,
There's
how have you been spending your money?
yeah.
Because I found most people, they have the words and the sentiment that say that I'm doing all that I can. I really don't know what it is that I could do anymore. But they
Yeah.
have done the hard work of actually looking to see where that money's spent. And I promise you, anybody, in fact, everybody who does that, they can come up with at least another $10, at a minimum, another $10 that they're blowing someplace that they don't need to blow. So
That's
that's where I'd start.
okay. Okay. That's good. That's
And
good.
my,
So we got to look at our spending. Look at
yeah,
our spending.
look at
Let
your
me ask you this too. So, finance can be scary for some people, right? And they don't talk about it. They don't want to go to the bank. They're scared to have a financial planner. But then some people are really interested in investing, right? And there's so many avenues now to enter into the investing world, whether it's Bitcoin or this or that, or actually going in with, some of this, kind of self-serve investment. Do you have any advice? And I know you're a financial planner, so forgive me if we go, I don't want to go the wrong direction, but what advice do you have? Because everybody's interested. Everybody wants to take their money and let it multiply, right? But what's the right approach if you don't have a lot of money, right? I only have a couple hundred to get started. How should I be thinking about investing and what should, without giving investment advice?
The very first thing is to have the proper mindset. I used to work for someone when I was back at GM, and he came from a very humble background, very, very meager background. And he rose up the ranks in corporate America to where he was making a very good income, moved out of the city, had himself a nice piece of property on multiple acres. And, by all of the measures, financial measures, he was doing well. And he
Mhm.
got into some conversation with some of his buddies from back in the hood,
Mhm.
and his opinion was different from theirs. And they said to him, you only think that way because you got it like that.
Mm.
Said,
Oh,
it struck me as odd because I actually asked the question, do I have what I have because of how I think, or do I think the way I think because of what I have?
yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay.
His unequivocal statement was, I have what I have because of how I
Think.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's the exact same thing that I would say when it comes to investing. You have to have the right mindset. You
Yeah.
can't, like many people do, I want you to double my money overnight with no risk.
No risk. Yes.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
Or
Not
better yet,
realistic.
I want to put my money in a CD on a savings account and I want it to double.
0% interest. Is that happening?
0% interest, right? That's the wrong mindset. That is the wrong mindset.
Yeah.
The thing is that you never invest what you can't afford to lose. What I mean by that is whatever you put there for investing, truly over time, it's more than a 70% chance that you're going to have more at the end of 5, 10, 15 years than what you started with.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you have to be of the mindset that if at any point in time, I need to go pull that money for something, I
Yeah.
can't be upset if it's less.
If it's not there.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't be upset. You have to have that mindset of, I must invest what I can afford to lose. You
Yeah.
start with that mindset of investing what you can afford to lose,
Mhm.
and then putting your money to work. Biggest thing, discipline. Just don't mess.
That's good. That's
Don't
good.
mess with it.
So let me ask you this too, though. Would you say that is it better to wait until, so you're implying the discipline and you're getting yourself situated, you really want to invest, but you don't know where, how, things like that. Does it make more sense to wait till you have a certain amount of money? Like, let me save until I'm comfortable with losing this amount and then start my journey? Or do I start my journey with, I don't mind losing $100 because I waste $100 in Target, which I know you don't want to hear that, but the reality is I definitely waste money at Target. But you take that money and say, okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and start it because I don't mind losing that. Or do you wait until it's a bigger lump sum and start the journey then?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
I gave you neither or.
Tell me more. What does that mean?
The answer is actually yes.
Okay.
Is that you do start with what it is that you are comfortable with. And the answer is also yes, that you wait until you have a certain amount. I'll start with the second one first. Before you get into any kind of investing, you want to make sure that you have an emergency fund. Once your emergency fund is built up, to me, that's that saving a certain amount, having a certain amount set aside first.
Yeah.
Once you have that set aside, then you're in the proper position to invest. Why? Because if that emergency comes, you're not reaching for your investment to say, oh, I've got to get that. You're reaching for your emergency fund.
Yeah.
Equally true. If you have gotten to what I call your dash to the stash, have enough to cover most emergency expenses, they come in somewhere around $1,000 or less. So if you have $1,000 and you say, you know what, I really want to start investing, then sure, start putting aside $100 or 50, whatever it is that you're comfortable with, before you actually build out that emergency fund.
Okay.
I would say, mind you, an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months typically of your expenses, not your income. 3 to 6 months of your expenses. It can be more than that, but it really shouldn't be any less than that. So if you got, let's just say that the dash to the stash, if the car breaks down and I got to get it fixed real quick, I've got 500 or 1,000 set aside, but now I'm setting aside $20 to my Robinhood or to my Schwab account and so forth. I am not opposed to that. I would still advocate, get your emergency fund built out first. But yeah, if you wanted to do that, sure. And if you want to wait until the emergency, sure. Do them both.
Okay. So now let's talk about beyond the emergency fund. Let's say you've got your emergency fund and you're starting to invest. What, before we get there, what do you think is, and maybe that number is different for everybody, right? So this is a hard, maybe you're going to give me a percentage because of it. What's a good number that I should just see in my savings account? This is the number that I like, okay, I can breathe. I can take a deep breath a little bit. Let's say someone in their 40s, what's a good number to just have in that account?
Your MEM number. What is MEM? Yeah, your MEM number.
Okay.
It's in the book.
I got to get the book. Okay.
Right. It's really this simple. MEM is maintenance emergency money. And that is totally up to you. It could be 3 months. It could be 6 months. It could be 12 months. It could be 5 years.
Okay.
And what I say is, if your MEM is complete, your REM will be sweet. REM, as you know, is associated with nice, peaceful sleep, where you dreams about wonderful things.
Good sleep.
Money, good sleep. It's money that will allow you to sleep easy at night. If your MEM is complete, your REM will be sweet. So whatever number that is that will allow you to sleep easy at night, that's the percentage. That's the number that you need to have set aside before you say, hey, you know, I'm going to jump in 2 feet into this investing thing. Because truly, whatever happens, you're going to sleep peacefully. You know your financial security is already intact.
Now, what does MEM stand for again? Say that again for us.
It's emergency money. It's what will maintain you in an emergency. Laid off for 3 months, let's say, or laid off for 10 months. It will maintain you during that emergency. Yeah, maintenance emergency money.
Maintenance emergency money. All right, like that. All right, and then for that same 40-year-old, right? They might have a financial planner, or if they don't, they should get you.
Not me. What?
They need to come find you. But let's talk about retirement. Like everybody wants to be a millionaire, but is that realistic? Right. And we're talking about saving for retirement. We've got some 401k money. We might have some IRA money, and we hope that the Social Security will be there when we retire, if it will or won't.
No.
What is a realistic number? Like, because I know I'm like, hey, I want $10 million when I retire. I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but that's the goal. So
I'm thinking I want 10 million right now. Forget when I retire. Give it to me right now.
that's right. Let me get this right now. But what would you say, like, for someone who's, in their 40s, they got about 20 years or so if they want to work that long. But like, what's a realistic target? I feel like sometimes we're just throwing something on the wall because it sounds like a good number. How do you come up with the real number for retirement?
That's a sweet, sweet position that you're presenting there. How do you come up with that right number?
Yeah.
The way we come up with that right number, we actually back into it.
Okay.
The way we back into it is by asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
Is it you want to be? Do you want to be a traveler?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be somebody involved in charitable organizations?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a homebody? Do you want to be the greatest granddad or grandmom on the planet? What is it that you want to be when you grow up? We start with that.
Okay.
Put a number to it. So if you want to travel the world, how much are you going to spend every year? 10,000, 15,000, 20. What is that number? You want to be the greatest granddad? You want to send all of your grandkids or grandmom? You want to send everybody to school? All right, private schools in 18 years is going to be about $55,000, $60,000 per child.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at that. And if we add that 10,000 plus that 60,000 plus that, home that you want to get in the Carolinas, we add all of those up. And Brittany, that gets us that number at the end.
Okay.
We look at where you are and say, these are the steps we need to take so that you can get to be who you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's who do you want to be when you grow up? I love that. So no, tell me another thing. Again, in our culture, we like to look the part, but not necessarily have the part. Some of us have all the fancy things, but we still trying to figure it out. Nobody knows what our budget is, right? Mm-hmm. What is some advice for somebody who's trying to crawl out of the hole, right? Like we've laid out like what you do as a parent, what you teach to them when they're kids in their college, and saving your money and being disciplined and having the MEM, having the NIM so you can have the RIM.
Go.
You're in crisis. You're in crisis and you need to figure something out. Where do you start to actually pull yourself out of the hole?
The pathway to any kind of solution starts with truly being honest with yourself where you are.
Yeah.
The person that smokes a whole pack of cigarettes every 10 minutes, if they continue to tell themselves, oh, I can give this up at any point in time, I'm not addicted to cigarettes, there's very little, if any, hope that that person will ever quit smoking.
Yeah.
Same when it comes to money. If a person isn't honest with themselves as to where they are, I'm really not managing my money properly. I'm really feeling as if I'm living hand to mouth, check to check, month to month. If they are not at that point, then Brittany, that's where they need to start. They need to get that grip on reality, get that grip as to where they are, so that we can now start constructing a proper plan to get them to where it is that they want to be. Now, your question is, okay, they're struggling, they're in dire straits. What is it that we can do to actually help them? I find carrot and sticks work well. Carrots and sticks work well. Now, mind you, the stick is what you use to drive the donkey, right? But you can also lay that carrot right out in front of him and have him chase after that carrot too.
Right.
I think for someone who's in crisis, both are necessary.
Yeah.
You need that carrot of, if you take this next step, you can actually get 1 point closer to what it is that you want. And I'm actually going to give you that incentive to take that step. What might that be? If for instance, for a child, if you save $1, I'll contribute 3.
Okay.
If you're talking about a working professional, if you're able to put aside what employers do, if you're able to put aside $1 toward your retirement or toward your savings, whatever it is, I'll contribute another $1 to you. So you're getting free money that way.
Yeah.
And the stick, and that stick is that stick of discipline that drives that. Yeah, it drives that business home.
Yeah.
And And that could be, now I've got to take away something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't fulfill your commitment,
Mm-hmm.
something's got to be taken away. You know, with my kids, I told them, listen, if you guys don't read a certain amount, or if you don't put away your clothes or whatever it might be,
Mm-hmm.
the playtime that they would get on the weekend would be diminished by 30 minutes. I
Okay.
think that only happened once.
Right. That's all it takes. All
Yeah.
it takes is one good time, right? All it takes is one time.
You know, and similarly in the life of a professional, it could be that the employer or family member acts as the accountability partner to where whatever it is that they're striving for might
Yeah.
actually be taken away, whether that is, I don't know, a down payment for a home. You know, here's the money that I'm setting aside for you to help you purchase that home. And if you don't complete XYZ steps, money's coming back into my bank account. It's no longer in your possession. So carrot and sticks, once that person is true and honest with themselves as to where they are, use that carrot and use that stick.
And hopefully for the adults, maybe you can implement it, a little self-discipline yourself, right? And use it on like, okay, if I don't do and I don't hit my target, or if I overspend, you know, this is my discipline for myself, because, you know, obviously I've hurt myself, and I want to make better decisions and better choices. And as you said earlier, it's really how you think and how you make the decision to spend or not spend or save or whatnot. So no, that's really good. No, thank you, Linda. So tell me a little bit about Air Supply. I got your book here. It's called Air Supply. For those who, let's see, get it in the camera. When people buy this, tell me, what will they get out of it? What will they learn? And how can they purchase your book?
Well, I'll start with the last one because that's easy. It's sold everywhere where digital products are sold, on Amazon, Apple Books, Google Books. I mean, you go out there and search for that title, you will find it.
Yes.
And I encourage you to do exactly that. Now, what will they find? They will find the right mindset.
Yeah.
Try to target more than anything else. You know, there's a chapter on Who's the Boss. Brittany, 100 years ago, more than 80% of the population in the US worked for themselves. They were their own boss. Today, 88% of the people or more work for someone else.
Okay.
Someone else is the boss. And we treat our money the same kind of way that we treat our professional lives. We treat money like a coworker. You know, money, see that you've done so well for that other guy. Why aren't you doing that for me? As opposed to treating it like the boss. Money, how come that neighbor of mine got what he got and we live in the same neighborhood and I don't have it? Money, you need to get to work and start doing something for me. You
make it work for you.
Work for me. And so forth. And then there's a chapter in there on it can be contracted. That is, money can be contracted. How can money be contracted? Well, when you start living on debt, your money will contract. You know, when you start putting money into things that go down in value.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that for the majority of the population, they spend their money on two things, things that get consumed and things that go down in value. But if you look at the people who are seriously well off, they spend the greater portion of their capital in things that go up in value.
Assets, that accrue
value. So it talks about how your money can be contracted, how your money can be expanded. Just like air expands in the summer when things are heating up, your money can expand also when certain things are heating up, like a bonus, like selling off a property, like perhaps getting a raise, perhaps even getting something from a rich uncle that just decided, I just want to hook you up. You know, those
kind of uncle. Where is that uncle?
Every one of us wants one, right?
Right.
And then it actually gets into how money can be polluted. I tell you, the weirdest thing that I've come across when it comes to what I call polluting money is a person who had, and mind you, this was not a vintage vehicle. He had a 27-year-old vehicle that was worth maybe $500. He was paying over $2,000 in auto insurance.
Oh, no.
And was doing it for about 8-9 years. That is polluting your money. That is the stinky stuff. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
So another thing that I like to point out in there are the kings and queens, the certain monarchs that you run across. Yeah. Now, I'm not talking about kings that walk around with that big gold rope and that royal crown. No, these are kings and queens of what's gonna.
Yeah.
Vast territory that's between the brain and the hands that says that I was gonna save for retirement, but I decided to go play basketball instead. I was gonna put my kids through school, but I decided I wanted a car. They were gonna, I was gonna, kings and queens of was gonna. So they miss out on opportunities. They manufacture excuse after excuse after excuse as to why they're not taking the proper steps rather than doing the hard work. It talks about the mindset, the good, bad, and the ugly, having the right employees, now that you're treating your money like a boss.
Yeah.
But you've got those employees working the wrong job. That's bad. Yeah, right employees working the wrong job. Think about if you had your plumber giving you accounting advice. Now, unless the plumber was an accountant, why is he doing that?
No, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, but no, thank you.
I want my plumber working on my plumbing.
Yeah, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Right. So in the book, it talks about having the right employees, working on the right jobs, getting that proper mindset, and then exercising the discipline to put those things into practice so that your money is working for you. In fact, the way we say it is, you cannot stop working for your money until your money starts working for you. Look, we're going to get you set up so that your money can start working and be in what I call a virtuous reciprocity cycle, where your money is making money, that makes more money, and it's just a cycle.
That's what you want.
Making money.
And then we can get out of the hustle mentality, right? I have a friend who's like, I don't want to hustle, right? I want my money to work for me. And that's what you want, right? You want to get out of the, so because at some point you're going to get tired of hustling, right? And so you make the right decisions at the right time, and be disciplined, and take some of these lessons that you shared in the book. That I think people in our community can get there.
And the thing that you mentioned that you want to get out of that hustle, now it's always the best time. People might approach this thing saying, well, it's too late for me, I'm X years old, and I really don't think that's going to work for me. That, so long as you are alive, now is going to be the best time to get started, because you really don't know if you're going to live another 15, 20, 30, 40 years. And people have this mindset, I might die before then. Well, I've got news for you. If you died, your problems are solved.
We're not. We're good. Right. So hopefully you have life insurance. But
still not going to help you because
but you should leave a good legacy for your people, right? You're right. You're absolutely
right. That in the book too. We get it doing exactly that in the book. Absolutely. But the thing that people need to recognize is the problem isn't if you die early or you die young. The problem is if you live and you don't have the money to sustain you when you get there. Right. So now, if you start now, you stand a way better chance of actually having it when you actually get there. So don't sell yourself short. Now is still the best time to get started.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you, Lyndon. I so appreciate you joining. Hopefully you'll come back and we can talk some more about, maybe getting a little deeper into the money issue. And hopefully by then, folks will have read your book and they might have questions for you as well. But the question I have for everybody today before we head out is, how much is enough for you? Have you done the work? Are you disciplined? Do you have the emergency money? And are you already in a position to make good decisions, disciplined decisions, so that you have proper air supply, right?
There it is.
Thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate you guys. And thank you so much, Lyndon. We will definitely talk to you soon. We'll get all your information posted on here, and stay tuned for the next episode. Have a great day, guys. And Can I Say This?
Thank you. Wonderful being here.